Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula. I'm your host, Parker Layrisson, and today I have a guest that is far better known than I am, so she requires very little introduction. That's Coach Tricia Hebert Landaiche, the uber successful coach of the Ponchatoula Green Wave, Lady Wave. She just recently picked up her 200th win. She has won tons of championships and molded plenty careers. She has admirers and followers and players all over the community who look up to her. And she's just one of the finest people in Ponchatoula. And it should come as no surprise she comes from one of the finest families in Ponchatoula. So with no further ado, I bring to you Coach Landaiche. Coach, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We know you're super busy.
Thank you, Parker, but that was not necessary right there. You
Well,
got
I
me
stopped it short. Your
Yeah.
introduction could have been a half hour long.
No, you
Championships.
got me in tears right now. That was too sweet.
Well, why don't you tell us a
So,
little bit about yourself, and then we're going to get into all the many stories of success and family and hard work that makes up your life.
yes. Well, I'm from Ponchatoula, obviously, daughter of Dennis and Evelyn Hebert, and very proud of that. I'm
We
the
were talking
baby.
offline. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but no matter how many games you win, and there's now 200 and counting here, you're always going to be Dennis Hebert's daughter in Ponchatoula.
Oh yeah,
He was such
oh
a great
yes,
man. So that's
yeah.
neat. Please go on. I really appreciate you sharing that.
I'm so proud to be his daughter, and I'm proud to be
That you should be.
all my siblings. I'm the baby of seven, and we have such a close knit family, and I depend on them for my strength. God and my family, that's them. And
Yeah.
I I have four children, four great grandchildren. Not great. I'm not there yet.
Getting closer, right?
Grandchildren. Yeah, no, not yet.
Let's hope
But
not.
I have my oldest daughter, Lauren, and she has two kids. She's married to Jacob, and they have Rhett and Palmer. Then
Okay.
Kaylin, she's engaged to Zach Thornton, and they're going to get married next October. And then my son Hunter,
Exciting.
he's engaged
Uh-huh.
to Olivia Mohan, and they'll
Mhm.
get married next February.
Lots
And
of love in your life.
they have two kids,
Okay.
Will and Ava. And then I
Mhm.
have a daughter, Brittany, who passed away when she was
Sure.
11.
Yeah,
And
very well known. Yeah.
yeah. And so
Love.
she would be 27 now, and she
Okay.
went to St. Joseph, and they have that shadow box right there when you first walk in up there, and
Right. Right.
I'm very proud of that. She
Well, I'm
left her
hopeful
mark
you'll
there.
share, as you should be so proud of her, and also all the good that you guys have done in her memory. I'm hoping that's a topic we can
Yes.
get to.
And I want to thank you for allowing us to use your area right there for parking.
Yeah, we're
Because
happy to help. It's such a good
yeah,
cause, and what a
yeah,
wonderful memory to keep alive.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's
Well,
so
we
neat
have a
to
4,000. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
Please,
I was just
please
going to say
continue.
we have a scholarship program that we do for graduating senior,
Right?
and we a $4,000 scholarship every year,
Oh,
and
wow.
we're very proud of that. And we try to look for a kid who has qualities of Brittany,
Mhm.
just and it's worked out well. And thank you for your support. Thank Mike Fulmer
Oh,
for
it's been
letting him
great. Yeah.
use his lot, Bobby Benson,
Uh-huh.
Presbyterian Church, and Whitney Bank. So I
So
just want to
anybody
thank all.
watching here that comes to the Strawberry Festival, we all know how hard it is to get a parking spot. These
Yep,
guys are selling parking spots in all the locations Coach mentioned, and all the profit is going to charity, right? It's going to kids
yes,
scholarships, so the
right,
children who need help going to college can get it. And what a
100%.
wonderful way to remember her. It's
Right.
we have some really good local scholarships for
Yes, we
children that
do.
have left us too soon. Great athletes. Brittany was a heck of a basketball player, we all know, back in her
Yeah.
day, and
Yeah.
Ned Wells was a great soccer player, and
Awesome.
a
Yeah.
soccer coach, and his father Sparky and his mother Kathy do something similar with their,
Right.
it's just been great, and
Right.
it's a wonderful example of how Ponchatoula families give back and turn tragedy
Right.
into something so
Right.
positive. So
And my
family's
family.
a big part. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. My family and they help us do all that parking. And Troy Brule, he's the
Yeah,
president of. And
sure.
so I just wanted to thank them for all they do with the foundation.
Troy's a
So,
great guy. He and I were neighbors in the same building for 12 years, and
fun.
he just great family. He and his
Great guy.
wife and kids, they're wonderful folks.
Yes.
Well, speaking of your family being so great, and you mentioned how they help, you probably don't know this. Few people do, but your family helped bring my family together. Those two little boys you saw running around off camera earlier, before we went
Emily.
live. Yeah, Emily. She actually
Emily. All
Emily,
right.
your niece Emily introduced Brandy, my wife, and me at the Strawberry Festival 10 or
Okay.
12 years ago. And we have a big dispute as to whether she asked me out or I asked her out. The truth probably lays somewhere in the middle with
In
Emily
between.
the matchmaker. But yeah, great family. And of course, her sister Renee was in my class, and just great folks. Your sister Marcy's always been one of my heroes. She was way more patient with us than we deserved growing up. So what is life like being one of 7 Hebert kids growing up in the Hebert house? What's that like?
Well, my older sister Paulette and my brother Bubba, they were already out of the house when Bubba got married right after I was born. So I don't
what's
really
the
remember.
age gap from start to finish with y'all?
Paulette's gonna kill me, but she's 20 years older than I am, and she always said I look. When I was like 24, she said I looked good for 14, and so I think I'm 34 right now.
Right.
So,
yeah. Exactly. So two young women, 20 years apart. That's
right. Yeah.
That's a similar gap to my family. We don't have as many kids, but the John Paul, the oldest, and Louis, the baby, are 18 years
right.
apart.
Well, I went to school with Jean Paul.
Okay. All right.
He was a classmate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then, but we're spaced out. It's Paulette, Bubba, then Marcy, and Carol is 10 years in between. And then we have Andy, Nan, and then myself.
Okay.
So,
wow. Great plan.
Right. And we, we loved each other. It was just, we always had somebody to play ball with. We were either out there playing basketball with. My brother painted on our my basketball goal, the backboard PHS on it. And we lived right there on town off of Chestnut and 8th Street. And people would pass by and they'd see the goal and they knew it was our house. And Nan always played basketball with her. And I looked up to her big time. I knew it would be hard to fill her shoes. And, she was a great athlete.
Well, you mentioned painting PHS on the backboard, and I know how cool that is because I think that the Reagans had that going too over on 3rd Street. But Tara Reagan was a heck of a player a couple years after me in St. Joe, and I think Mr. Stanley, had put that up on their board. It makes it kind of an iconic house of town, right? Because it's not just on the backboard.
Exactly.
That's
well,
cool.
that's our cousins, of course.
Oh, okay.
Savannah's, I don't know if you know Savannah and Kayla Reagan, their mama,
Susie
Reagan.
Well, half the town's Reagans. I mean, Ponchatoula is basically in thirds. 1/3's Reagans, 1/3's Perrins, and then 1/3's the rest of us.
Right. So, well, her mama, Susie, played with me all the way from St. Joseph all the way up at Kathleen. Yeah. And one day she was at practice with me at LaRondre, and I put a play in, and I said, "What y'all want to name it?" And they said Susie. And so I ran Susie for 33 years now. And well, Susie passed away a couple years back.
Okay.
And and it's like every time I call it, I think of her. It's just,
it's neat.
So proud of that. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned playing at St. Joe, and I know that place means a lot to you because you played there, you coached there, your kids played there. Tell us about that. What was it like coming up playing at St. Joe when you did?
Well, St. Joseph, at my 5th grade year, I made the team, and Sylvia Kluker was my coach back then. I had her for 1 year, and oh my gosh, she was just God to me. She was so awesome. Great coach. She moved to Rapides Parish, and she's doing really good. Well, I'm not sure if she's still coaching, but she did a phenomenal job there.
Is Rapides Parish, is that the Alexandra area?
Alexandria, yes.
Okay, my geography's not great. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
And then Bonnie Boudreaux, Peggy Wells, that's her sister.
Okay.
She was my coach for the next 3 years, and I loved her. She did a great job. She just passed away last year, and it was so sad. I hated that.
I bet.
She was a big impact on my basketball career.
Well, you mentioned what heroes coaches are at that age, and it's so true. My St. Joe coach was Mutt Burner in baseball and basketball. Remains one of my heroes to this day, but it's a larger than life figure. In your world at that age, isn't it? It's so important to help your development. It
is, and as a coach, you got to remember that when you're in that level, because they're grasping on everything you say, and you want to make that impression and leave your mark in the positive way. And
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes you lose it, but it's like I'm like, I love you, I love you, They're like, yeah, coach, just get on to me.
Right, right. Well, no, it's a tough dynamic there between whipping them into shape, keeping the discipline going, and being the right quotient of encouraging and giving them the right push. I'm hoping you'll get into that throughout this interview as we get into your coaching career, because it's probably more art than science, right? It's inexact and every kid's different, so the formula can't be the same for everybody. So you're the last of 7 Hebert kids to come through St. Joe. You're playing for these great coaches who you mentioned. What kind of player were you? Were you a spunky guard? Were you, a post player? Tell us about.
I was a point guard. I was pretty spunky. I love defense. I love getting after it. I love taking charges.
Okay.
Yes. I love getting the steals and taking off with it. I love giving it up for the assist. It was good times. It really was.
Did you guys have a good run? Were y'all able to win some games, or how'd y'all do it?
We made it to the playoffs, but we never went far. But at St. Joseph, we won the parish stuff. We were still with the parish, not the Nile.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And we did win the public school parish tournament that year.
Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, as I mentioned to you off video earlier, my athletic career peaked really early and ended at St. Joseph essentially. But I'll never forget my days spent mostly sitting the bench, but on that championship team. And one of my buddies, also a bench warmer, Brandon Perrin, married into your family essentially.
Yep.
We were basically the last 2 guys on the bench and had a blast watching our buddies, kick butt. But it was neat because, just a year or 2 ago, his son Trent and his team won the championship. And so it was kind of neat because they used to be my next door neighbors. And my wife, Brandy, could tell you, Trent woke us up many mornings dribbling a basketball on Saturday. And it's cool to see those traditions continue. And you were able to do that from player to coach. So we're going to get into your St. Joseph coaching career in a bit. But tell us about the next step. You finished playing ball at St. Joe.
Yeah. Then I went on to Ponchatoula High School, and
tell us about that.
I played for Peggy Allred, and the legendary.
That was the first class I ever stepped into at PHS. Was her geography class? Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah, she was tough. Yeah, so I'm sure she was tougher on you as a player than she was on me as a student. But what was that experience like? What was Coach Allred like?
Well, she rode me pretty hard, which I appreciate. Because she expected me to do the right thing, and I was the point guard, and so I had to run stuff. I was the quarterback of the team, and that's one thing my dad always told me. He would, oh my gosh, my dad would be at the games, and if I did one thing wrong, I would hear him stomp real loud in the stands, and I would be like, oh, that's one thing I got to hear about tonight. But that's what Coach Allred and my dad instilled in me, is that you don't play defense on your heels. You get after it all the time. And it wasn't like if I missed a shot, he would get mad, but it would be like if I made a dumb play, and he would just try to explain it to me in the kitchen all night long. Until my mama would say, she was the backbone of our family. Until my mom would say, Dennis, that's enough. Let her go to sleep.
Well, tell us about them. Let's take a quick break from the playing stuff. Tell us about your parents. Your dad, Dennis Hebert, was a state rep 20 plus years, one of the cornerstones of town. What was it like having him for a dad? And you mentioned your mom's the backbone of the family. Tell us about both of them and their impact on you.
Well, my dad, he was state representative for 24 years, and before that, he was a councilman for 8 years. But that was probably when I was like really, really little. Yeah. And when Mr. Buddy Dufresh got sick, he was mayor pro tem for a little bit. Oh, okay. And so he did all that. And just some of the things I was really proud, that he was proud of, that I love to say about my dad, was he always voted 100% for the firefighters and the policemen. And he always won the Apple Award, which was 100% voting for the teachers.
Oh, and, wow. Yeah, that's a great trio of wonderful people that deserve support.
Yeah, and I mean, he just, no matter what it took, he voted straight down the line for us. He was so proud of that. And then he was a friend to Southeastern. He got the funding for the University Center, And
Yeah.
it was just neat because he would come home and he would be so excited, like, I got the funding for this. It came in, and we voted it through.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand the impact back then.
Right.
But, when I walk in there now to go play a game or watch a game, it's like, yeah, my daddy was influential with this. It's really neat.
Yeah.
And then, just little projects like, not little projects, but projects like that around the community that
Mm-hmm.
he did a great job. But back then, when my dad was state
Sure.
representative, it wasn't as easy to be in touch with the people because you didn't
Right.
have emails, you didn't have cell phones,
No
or
Facebook live shows like today,
none
right?
of this, none of this. And so my dad would be in Baton Rouge working. Well, my mom was at the house taking the phone calls that people called at the
Yeah.
house. And, and she would talk to people for hours and just listening to their problems and take the notes. And as soon as my dad would get in, mom would let him know, this is who you got to call. He
Yeah.
would stay on him until he did it. And then Aunt Gwen Perrin,
Mhm.
Brandon Perrin's grandma, she
Sure.
was my
Yeah.
dad's she was my dad's
Okay.
secretary. And so she would be there during the day taking all those calls and have everything waiting for my dad.
Yeah.
So, it took two women to keep him getting to
Right.
those calls
Right.
straight.
So he
But
had
yeah,
the
but
real wife and the work wife going, and they
yeah,
kept him straight.
but
Well, they did
yeah,
that team of three people. Mr. Dennis and those wonderful women. They served this community so well, and obviously I was a little kid, so I didn't appreciate it fully then. But I've heard my dad talk about it so much. You talk about support for law enforcement. And educators. He did both at different stages of his career, but his career as sheriff overlapped some with your dad's career, at the
right,
Capitol. And I know that Dennis Hebert was a big friend to law enforcement to help deputies get what they need, some things like supplemental pay, and
right,
going back to the Constitutional Convention and all these important times in history. He was there for us, and he kind of really looked out for this area. And from long-term stuff like Southeastern to things nobody may ever remember because they just
right,
one person and one time.
right,
We're grateful for that service, and having myself been the son of somebody who served 24 years and watched
right,
my own mama work that phone, I know the
right. You
sacrifices
can
you guys
appreciate.
made. Yeah, because he's out there, eating rubber chicken at dinners, and not able to
Right.
spend as much time with y'all as some parents could because they're doing that. But it
Yeah.
sounds like he still made time to get to
And
your games,
yeah, oh, he
coach
was
you
there.
before and after.
And and he
Yeah.
was just like, it was always funny because like you'd pull up at the state capitol and they had
Yeah.
all these Cadillacs and stuff like that. And my
Right.
daddy would pull up in a Toyota Corolla, old yellow thing with a
Yeah. Right.
a hatchback. And it was just, he was just a people's person. And you could
Yeah.
approach him. We were the last people to leave church. We left everything last.
Uh-huh.
So that's just how we were.
Well, I've got a photo here that I hang in my office here. I look at it, from my desk here every day, and it's got, if you can see it up there, you've got
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, it's got. Well, I'm bad with my directions here, but there's your dad. It's got. Look, it's by my 2 state reps, 2 mayors, and 1 sheriff. At some point,
Yep.
Your
Yep.
dad, I think, was the state rep at that time. Steve Pugh
Yeah.
would be a future state rep, and Mayor's Collins Bonaccord
Bonaccord.
and Doc Gideon.
Doc Gideon.
Yeah, but
Yep.
yeah, Mr. Dennis is still looking down on me every day from the wall up there.
Oh, I love it. I'm familiar with that picture, and I told you earlier.
Story, yeah, about the train.
Yeah. What's really neat about that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay.
And here, I'll back up while you're talking. So this is the train that they're standing in front of over by the country market, right?
Yes, it's there right now. And my daughter, Lauren Lee, she's married to Jacob Lee. That's actually their store now. They have Grace Paul boutique. It's a little children's store. And so I just think that's so neat that's our dads up there.
Yeah,
next
3 generations. That's neat. So tell us about the boutique a little bit. Let's give them some free advertising.
All right, sounds good.
Because that sounds like something my wife would like to know about. I need to share this when I get home today.
Yeah, it's a children's clothing store, and she has from newborn to I'm thinking 5, 6, or 6 size, maybe a little bigger. I mean, but it goes. She has stuff that you can't buy at a Walmart or a Target, and it's unique stuff. And she buys a limited amount in each thing, and so you really won't see other people wearing it. But she also has some stuff that the moms can match the kids, and so
cool. Yeah.
I told her, I said, baby, I didn't have the money to spend on y'all when y'all were growing up. But
Right. When you choose
yeah,
education like you did, you don't exactly
yeah,
choose a boutique budget. You know, that's
yeah. Well, I mean, to match the baby.
right.
It's like, okay, we're gonna dress you cute, but I can't match you. but but it's a really cute store. I've worked in there
Yeah.
a couple days for, and I love it. I love the
Well,
people that come in.
well, I hope our viewers check it out. If you got a grandchild, a child, or know a friend with one on the way, let's promote this local business. Obviously, as a local business owner, I'm a big fan of local businesses, and they've been very good to me over my years in the community. I know as a coach, maybe we could talk about that now. Local businesses kind of keep you guys going, right? With
I have that.
scholarships and
I
support.
have that.
How does that
Yes.
work? Hmm.
Oh my gosh, our players reach out to the people in the community, and this year especially, they have responded overwhelmingly, uh, just donating to us, and
Yeah.
it if we didn't have them, we couldn't make it,
Right.
because running a basketball team or any high school level team, it costs a lot of money. And this year, we only have 25% of our fans that can enter the gym,
Oh wow,
and
that's a big budget hit. Yeah.
right, yeah, and the referees are so expensive,
Sure.
and so and yeah, stuff like that, and then you got to pay to go to tournaments
Hmm.
and just stuff like that. It just costs a lot of money,
I
and
bet.
so thank you to all our sponsors. Y'all know who y'all are. Thank you so
Thank,
much.
thank you for mentioning that. And my guess is, as you get more successful, as you have, ironically, it gets more expensive because you're traveling
Yeah,
to play in all these elite tournaments
yeah,
and great. Am I right about that? How's that
yes,
work?
yes.
And
Well, normally
you
we
guys have
travel to.
a big recruit. I won't go wrong word. You have a faraway opponent coming to town to play us here soon, right? Or
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, I try to schedule a tough schedule, and
tell us about
we
that.
we usually we go play at Natchitoches over
Uh-huh.
Thanksgiving break, West
Okay.
Monroe over Christmas break, and we get a lot of the
Yeah.
North teams in the
Uh-huh.
state, and it's just good. It's good competition, and it just costs a lot of money. But this year they were canceled because of COVID, and
Okay.
but they do have a team that's coming to town from Alaska, and that's going to be on the.
Doesn't get any farther than that unless you want to play China or
No,
Russia or somebody.
really. Yeah, they're Anchorage Christian. They're coming down
Uh-huh.
here next week, and we're going to play them on the 28th.
Right.
As of right now, we're playing here at Ponchatoula High, but we're
Cool.
trying to get the University Center at Southeastern.
Wow,
So
that would be so neat for those girls, both sides.
yeah,
I mean, can you
both
imagine?
sides, both
Yeah,
sides,
traveling across the country.
right?
Let's
And
hope
it's
those Anchorage girls get a view of Old Hardhide while they're in town. We got to make sure they
oh
see
yeah.
at least one alligator.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Brandy Daniels yesterday, and she's
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, well, we have to show them some Ponchatoula hospitality. We got to feed them, and we got to do this now." So
Yeah,
Hardhide will be on the list.
Brandy's great. She was my classmate at PHS, so I know she knows Ponchatoula
Fun.
hospitality. She can get her
Yeah.
daddy and all those firefighters out there. She's got an army that can help them.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
I'll
Of course,
put Stump in charge of that.
yeah, Wesley's a former basketball coach himself, so I'm sure he'll want to help out. Well, we were talking about your high school playing career and playing for Coach Allred. Um, it's my understanding that there was a quite famous play while you were there. One of the most famous plays in Ponchatoula sports history. And I want you to give us the details here. But first, let's set the stage with the opponent. Could you tell us, pop quiz, who's the greatest basketball player to come out of the Tangipahoa area and to go on to the highest coaching? Maybe I'd say second best women's basketball coach to come out of here after you.
Oh
In,
no 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 no! I bow down.
no,
I
but
bow.
we're
I bow
talking
down
about
a whole
Kim
bunch of them.
well, you're
Kim
modest.
Kim Mulkey.
Kim Mulkey
Kim
has
Mulkey is
got
the best.
claim to the fame. And as I understand, she's an Olympic champion. I mean, tell us a little bit about her for our viewers, especially younger folks that maybe didn't get to see her play, or hear about her legend during her playing days and just know her as a championship coach.
Kim Mulkey is my idol, like beyond anything.
Um,
I mean, oh my gosh, when I see her, I just get so excited. Um,
yeah, she's
I
great.
knew I knew her as a younger girl.
Hmm.
She actually worked Peggy Allred's camp one time, a basketball camp, and I was at St. Joseph, and she
Okay.
taught me how to dribble behind my back and just stuff like that. She was my
Right.
coach when I went there for the week, and so
So
I got to know her then. And then we ended up playing on a softball team together as we got older. But
hmm
that girl, she had over 4,000 career points in high school,
Wow.
And then she had over 4,000 assists in high school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so you think 4,000, okay, we didn't have a 3-point line.
Right.
So, I mean, just think about that. She's
Like
great.
Maravich, right? It's like how many more points would she have had there been a 3-point line, you know?
Yes, yes. I mean, Kim was just, to this day, she could walk in here and I would just be so giddy and excited.
I bet. Now, she's also, in addition to all those points and all those assists and, multiple championships as a player and a coach in college, she gives rise to the most famous play of your career, as I understand it, the Kim Mulkey steal, right? Tell us about that play.
Well, okay, I was a freshman in high school and she was a senior.
Okay.
And coach told me I was guarding her. And I got
What's
really
that
scared.
feel like? Before we get into the play, you hear that, your idol, best player in the state, all this, and you got a guarder as a freshman. What goes through your head in that moment?
I was scared, Parker. I was scared.
I bet.
And kind of like little Marcia Gordon, Michael Jordan.
Right.
I mean, that's on the same level. I mean, I'm being serious.
No, no doubt, for sure.
And she was really good. Well, coach told me to get her. I was like, yes, ma'am, I'll get her. I'll get her. I do whatever coach told me to do. And so I was on her, and I don't know how it happened. She crossed over in front of me, and I was able to sweep it, and I went. And yeah, but it ended there. It ended there.
Well, that's quite a bragging right, there. I mean, that's the kind of thing. It makes for a great memory and story your whole life.
But I gotta be honest. I missed the layup, so I have to throw that out there.
I appreciate you sharing that. That's amazing candor. And but as I understand it, and you mentioned she coached you maybe in a camp or something a little bit.
She coached me at Peggy Allred's camp.
So she coached you at a summer camp or something for Coach Allred.
Right.
But Peggy Allred, well-known local legend, Kim Mulkey, internationally known, great legend. But by my count, that makes Kim Mulkey the second most famous coach that you've had, because while you had another coach who may not have been the player and coach of Kim Mulkey, I think hosting Good Morning America is more famous than tell us about that. Who was your most famous coach, and how did that all work?
Well, okay, I played AAU basketball when I was in high school for a team called Popeyes.
Okay.
And Popeye's Chicken. And back then my coach was Robin Roberts.
Oh, wow. Robin Roberts. I mean, you and I know, and most folks probably know she played at Southeastern, but I know a lot of folks that don't know that. They just know her as the world famous host of Good Morning America and all, all this that she's done. That's cool. What was she like? What kind of coach was she, and what do you remember about your experience with her?
She was tough. She had us running. That was the most running I had to do until I got to college, and she was hard on us. She was hard on me as a guard. I mean, she was a post, but she still coached me up top, and I appreciated that. There was times I would go home and I'd be like, Mama, and they would tell me, don't complain. You chose to play, so.
Right. Well, that's neat. What else can you tell us about your high school playing days? What else, or anything really about PHS? Pretty much everybody in the show loves to talk about their PHS days. What are you playing?
One of the highlights of my PHS, we got to talk about AJ Biker.
Oh, what a hero!
AJ Biker and Dot Waldrop. I mean, those two people. You can't say enough about them.
Yeah, local. And
yes, I mean, they're the ones that built that foundation. And Mr. Butler, and it was just a standard you had here, and you knew what it was expected of you. And you'd walk around on the campus, and somebody, if anything, there was somebody out there telling you can't do that or do.
Right.
I just loved the way he ran this school, and he was a friend to you. He was, he never talked down to you.
Yeah, he's done so well, but even in retirement, as chairman of North Oaks, as a Rotarian, as a community leader, a million ways. I mean, we're so blessed that Mr. AJ is still with us, and what a great guy. I mean, I'm sure he was just wonderful to be your principal. It's fortunate to come through during that era. I need to do something that I probably should have done earlier, which is take a little detour here to look at some of the comments, because you're getting a lot of love here online here.
Oh, wow.
I want to share that with you, Coach. We're here with Coach Landaiche at Ponchatoula High School. Paulette Foster says she's proud of you. I don't know if you can see these as they come in.
I see it. That's my sister.
Carolyn and Buddy Pugh say great job.
I love them.
Derek Wheat, more family here. Congratulations. Don McClure coming to us from Texas. That's Kim Mulkey country. Hey, Don, thanks for Dana. Look at this. They're just
Dana Lee and Graff.
Yeah, Dana Lee and Graffia, your player. Pete Clark, who's a neat guy, high school friend of mine, says keep doing great work for the community. Lauren, look at that. You're talking about. She noticed that free advertising Mama will give. Lauren, thanks for tuning in. That's neat to have you watching there. Our mutual friend Mary Beth Rivetta, one of the finest women in town. She's the first guest on this show. Mary Beth, thank you for doing that for me. We really appreciate it. Well, I think you might be some comments here. Jamie LeBlanc, look at this.
Oh, she used to teach with us.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. Hey, Jamie, thank you so much for tuning in. Mark Verbois, thank you so much.
Love him.
Mark and I used to have battles coaching at the Ponchatoula Youth Basketball League back in the day. He's a fiery one there.
Yes.
Hey, Ivan Inskill, she's such a sweetheart. Over at City Court. So good to hear from her.
Yes.
Look at that.
That's my niece.
I love me some. She'll always be Jill Hebert to me. So right. And she's loving this story. Who else is in here? Oh, look, another sister. You got. I don't know. Y'all must have a good text message chain or something going, because you're maybe that's the thing. Siblings, y'all are tight knit. They're all coming through here.
That's my son.
Look, you got boys and girls alike. Look at Jerry.
That's my cousin.
Harry and Chris Dapper. Okay. Dana loves you so much. She's in here twice. And Shannon Threaton Wells. There we go.
Coached her.
For her daughter. Live. And as I mentioned, I thought Shannon was last, but she wasn't. Carol Brooks Mall is also jumped in. Oh, look, another one. Dana Wheat. They keep coming. Tyra McGarry. Tyra, thank you for tuning in. Wow, that's a lot of love. I didn't count them, but I think that may be a new record for us here on comments. We're talking about her playing career. We've gotten through Ponchatoula High at this point. What's the next chapter in the story for you once you graduate from PHS?
I went to Southeastern and got a scholarship.
Okay. You got scholarship to play ball?
Yeah. I played 4 years there. The first 2 years I played for Ace Bryant.
Okay.
And then my second 2 years for Frank Snyder.
Okay.
And I kept a notebook on those two guys, and everything they would tell us at practice, or they put in a play or something, I would draw on that notebook whatever they told us, or what little things like ball you man, and they kept stressing that, and I would just write that over and over in the book, and I kept just notebooks on those two, and a lot of my X's and O's are theirs.
Yeah. Well, let's look back now, because you've brought us through a lot of coaches, and you had transitions in a few of those places like St. Joseph and Southeastern, and you had steady 4 years with the same coach at PHS. What lessons and just advice do you attribute to those coaches when you look? Because it sounds to me like you were taking notes as you went. You really admired all these coaches, and you're learning. And my guess is soon you're going to tell us how you're applying some of what you learned from them now to the teams you're coaching now and in the past. What lessons do what jumps out particular to each coach? Do you think about this coach and its X's and O's, and that coach and its pep talks, or, what do you recall from these coaches that really stuck with you?
Well, like Frank Snyder, his X's and O's they're great. I mean, I loved his style with his X's and O's. I learned how I wanted to be a coach, how I wanted to inspire them, like coaching. I wanted to be energetic and, try to pump them up in a positive way and not beat them down. I don't like being that negative. Sometimes when I find myself getting like that, Christy Gill, one of my assistants, she's like, Trish, calm down, because she knows I don't like to coach from that place.
Sure.
And it's more to show them you know, you got to get on to them sometimes. Don't get me wrong,
Right.
but to show them that, hey, it's okay to make that mistake, but learn from it.
Right.
And you know, I learned a lot of good things, and I learned some stuff that I didn't want to do also from each coach.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Like I'm sure anybody that plays under me is the same way.
Well, like anything in any profession, right? I mean, as an attorney, I lawyer well on some aspects, and I'm sure I have tons of room for improvement on others. And anybody working with me can take away both, you know, as part of the experience. You mentioned Coach Gill and how she reined you in some as one of your assistants. Why don't we take this moment to talk a little bit about the assistant coaches you have and kind of how they, what role they play in your success?
They are the reason for my success. I'm nothing without nothing. I'm being totally honest. I'm nothing without
You're
them.
being modest. I appreciate that. I
No,
don't doubt your coaches are that great,
no,
but
I'm not. I'm not. It's all of us together.
uh-huh,
We all do. We all work together.
uh-huh,
Coach Gill, she does all my subbing. She knows. She'll ask me, and I'm like, yeah, either one, whatever you want. You know,
right?
she's my go-to person. As she just, we kind of know what each other's thinking.
Yeah. How long have
And
y'all coached together?
well, we've bbeen together at the high school for 8 years,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and so we did a little AAU together
Mhm.
before, but we kind of on the same page,
Yeah.
and I'll throw stuff at her, and she'll say, "Oh no," or she'll say, "Yeah, yeah, that sounds good," and I do that with all my coaches though. And then she played at Tulane.
Oh, neat. That's
Um,
my alma
yeah,
mater. Yeah. Cool.
oh yeah, yeah. She played at Tulane, and then Lauren Long, she's one
Okay.
of my coaches, and she's steady. She's very positive with the kids.
Mhm.
She keeps them motivated. She sends us motivationals on like after a game, before a game, working with us like that. She keeps up with our plays, lets me know exactly what's working, what's not.
Right.
She's really really good with those kids. She played basketball at Millsaps,
Oh, cool.
um,
Okay. In Mississippi. Okay.
in Mississippi, and
Right.
then
As
well,
I
she
mentioned
played.
Ned Wells earlier and the scholarship in his name and his father Sparky and mother Kathy, Ned was a soccer coach at Millsaps, and that's where he went to school.
Okay,
And one of their scholarships helps kids go to school there. So
so there,
for any
yeah,
Millsaps fans out there, we have that connection we made.
yeah.
So
Well,
it
she
sounds like you
played
got some really strong women working for you.
right,
Tell us more
right.
about Coach Long. Please continue.
Well, she played basketball, volleyball, and softball. Not softball, tennis,
Yeah.
and she's the head volleyball coach here
Okay.
now. And then I have Dana in Graphia, and she's gonna kill me because she played in Mobile at
Uh-huh.
Gulfport or Gulf something Mobile. Dana,
Right.
don't kill me.
Dana,
Dana, don't kill
Coach
me.
has a lot on her mind. Okay, we're knocking on wood,
Dana,
nursing an undefeated season here. We can't remember all
Mobile.
the details, Dana, but we know you're important.
Well, she was coaching at Trafton, and
Okay.
I referee volleyball, and
Uh-huh.
I was refing a game, and I saw her. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" She goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, girl, I quit coaching in the city, and I moved back over here." And
Uh,
I'm like, "Oh no, 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 no! You coming to Ponchatoula?" Because I coached her at Laranger,
right.
and so
Okay.
yeah, so she came here, and she's doing a great job with the kids.
Well,
And
you mentioned the refereeing part. And I want to pause for a quick moment to ask a question about that. You know, as a coach, how tough are you on the refs? And, you know, do you find any karma coming back to you when you're on the ref side of the aisle and feel like, whoa, let's
definitely,
talk about that dynamics. I come from a family of referees and umpires. My godfather, Jack Vaughn, was an NFL referee. My cousin Tommy did basketball, you know, everything pretty much at the high school level. My cousin Scott was in the SEC. So I've seen a lot of them get yelled at a ton over the years. I know
right.
a ton of refs, obviously. What's it like, and you know, to be one, and also how do you view your kind of style with them as
Yeah.
a head coach?
Well, since I started refereeing, I'm
Mhm.
not as bad on the refs. Um, with
Okay,
with volleyball, it's not as bad because it's so
right,
quiet in the gym, so they don't really yell at you too bad. They might just yell double or something.
yeah,
But I look at it as a different way, you know, now with the basketball. And like I'll say, "Oh, that's a walk, oh, over the back." Last night I wanted over the back so bad, and you know, so I'll say stuff like that, but I don't go off like I used to. And in the day, I used to get technicals a little more often, but I want to say I just got maybe one last year, and I haven't gotten any this year.
So you're not tossing chairs like Coach Bobby Knight or doing any wild.
No,
You're setting a better example for your kids, but
I'm
I'm sure
trying
you're
to.
a passionate woman, so I'm sure things get heated sometimes. Well,
Yeah,
we're talking about your assistant coaches here, and I think it would
yeah.
be a good time for us to take a look at a screen. I'm hoping that our folks can see this here. You were
Yeah.
recently honored, along with your assistant coaches, Coach Christy Gill and Lauren Long, for your 200th win. And this is a post from your team's Facebook page. I know you were surprised by this honor. They gave you flowers. It was a big deal. And I'm going to, reference the post here because I think this kind of success really needs to be recognized. 200 wins, 6 district championships, multiple parish championships, and trips to the top 28 tournament, a 5A state championship. Wow. What tremendous success. Would you mind, Coach, taking a moment to tell our viewers what this means to you, what the people in this photo mean to you, and just kind of tell us about that kind of success, that kind of run, and what it means to you personally?
Well, I was very honored with this. I had no idea that was happening. And when the game ended, I thought Lauren Long was presenting her volleyball kids with their academic awards. And so when Bill Wheat started making the announcement, I just kind of looked and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's doing. And
Right.
and I was just so honored and touched. And Lauren made the announcement that it was just Christy and I, but no, Lauren's been there for all those wins too. And but she's the one that did it, so she took her name out of it, and I was
Sure.
upset about that. But without those coaches, and I haven't talked about Amanda Miller yet,
Okay.
known as Beeper.
Yeah, please do. Go for it.
Yeah, she came in this year with we had the COVID, and so we didn't have a summer league that we normally have. And thank you to Pard for letting us use your gym for our summer league program. And she came out and worked with the kids when a coach couldn't be out there. And so she did that for us so they could get extra time in. And so I appreciate that so much. And I was like, Amanda, I need you to come in and help with the post. I need you to help with the post because we all point guards.
Right. Yeah.
Christy
Yeah.
and I were point guards, and Lauren and Dana were threes and fours.
Sure.
And so I needed help with the middle. And Amanda was like, oh, I'd love to. And so that all those 4 women have been my rock. They keep me grounded, steady, and all. But in addition to that, those players, I have been so blessed. I have kids that do stuff outside the gym. They don't just come in here and work with us for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. They go out, they get up in the morning and go shoot. They go to different gyms that they have access to. They go to Spoga or different, any places that they can get to get shots up. And I have parents that are dedicated to get in there and work with them. So I've been blessed. It looks like this way, but it's not. It's those kids, it's those coaches.
Yeah.
And my advice to anybody is surround yourself with people that can help you. Just like I said, I depend on those on those women. They
Right.
have my back. I know they have my back without a doubt.
You clearly have their back. You're sharing all the praise and credit with them, and right, they deserve it, and as do you. And one takeaway I think I'm hearing here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but you're talking about the importance of not just yourself, but your assistant coaches, your players, and their parents. And I guess what I'm hearing is, for success like this, it takes a village. The whole community of Ponchatoula has to come together, whether it's Pastor Graves letting you use the gym at his church or your kids use the gym, or Spoga letting them use the gym. It's like, it's not enough just to have a great practice with you and your assistants. We need a lot of people involved here, from the sponsors you mentioned earlier. Am I onto something there, or am I barking up the wrong tree?
No, you're 100% right. 100%.
And that's what's so neat about Ponchatoula is we are a community that comes together. We're not a wealthy community. We're not sitting on Pacific Coast real estate and high property value,
Right.
giant economy, but the folks here give what we have, whether it's time or energy or attention or what little money we have, or skills in the kitchen, cook up so you can do a fundraiser. It's really neat to see that come together. But for things like that to come together, we need a leader, and that's kind of where you come in. So I have a question, and that is, as a leader, as the kind of, the general of this operation, and you've talked about key lieutenants and colonels or whatnot, if you will, what are some leadership lessons that you could share with folks that, like me, that look up to you, whether we're business people or aspiring coaches or just anybody who's looking to achieve something with a team? What are some leadership lessons you could share with us?
Well, to first identify people's strengths and weaknesses. And, like I said, I'm a point guard, so utilize me in that area. Use,
Right.
deeper, and so everybody knows where they're at and knows what their focus is on. And when we work on our full court press, everybody's watching a person and, and telling them, no, you're not going to the right spot or whatever. And I think that's important to identify those. As a coach, you got to do that with your players too. You have to be honest with them. There's times I go in, I'll tell them like, hey, I don't need this to happen right now. I just need you to just take care of the ball, and I don't need you to score. Just take care of the ball. And when I tell people that, they're like, we got you. We know what to do. And I'm talking about certain times of the game, and I have players that I know. Some players listen to everything you say, and I tell them, do this. You get back on defense no matter what. If the shot goes up, you're my release. And that kid's going to do it. She's going down there. It's just identifying that and using it to your best ability.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I want to turn back to a few more comments here because they've kept coming in since we looked earlier. Jill's back. What's the Sweet 16 skit? I want to hear about that, Coach. Do you know anything?
Wait.
No telling.
Jill.
We don't know what you.
No.
Don't go there. Coach Wilkinson, PHS Legends. He wanted to check in with you there. That's got to mean a lot.
Hey, he coached football back in the day with me when I was playing, not playing football, when I was in high school.
Probably, right?
Yes, that's awesome.
Your sister, you mentioned Bill Wheat earlier, and maybe not everybody knows the connection. That state representative.
I wanted to bring this up.
Yeah, please.
I wanted to bring this up. Bill, he's been the voice of Ponchatoula for the last 8 years. Since Christy and Lauren and I took over the basketball team here, Bill has announced our games and the starters, and during the game he announces the stuff. And so Trent, when he was Trent,
this is double down Trent Perrin, as he's known to my gang, my former next door neighbor that I mentioned waking us up all the time.
Well, when he was younger, he would call
great nephew. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, he would just call Bill. Because that's his uncle on the other side of the family, and he would say, "Oh, Uncle Bill, he's the voice of Ponchatoula," and I just really
now he really is the voice of Ponchatoula. He has your dad's old job, so he's capital, right?
Yes. So he was elected state representative last year, and he just completed his first year in that.
He's doing a great job. Can you tell us what that means to the family? I mean, all these years later, what's it like to kind of have another member of the family fill in your dad's old shoes? That had to be really heartwarming for you guys?
It was. And one thing I appreciate was before he announced that he was going to run, he met with us and asked us if we wanted to go out there and do that again. And sir?
I said, how thoughtful. That's wonderful.
Yeah, because he knows it's your whole family that's involved. It's not just you. And we were like, we've been telling you to do it for years, Bill. We're all for it. And I love the politicking part of it. And
you're so good at it, and your family, real naturals.
And what was
go ahead.
What was really neat, he actually the representatives after my dad, they didn't stay in the same place that my dad sat. And Bill, when he went back this year, he got the same seat, that same area that my
Oh,
dad
neat.
was in.
That's really
So that's
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
what a great tradition. Hey, you're
yeah.
off the hook. Dana is on here now. University of
There
Mobile.
it is, Mobile.
Dana, thanks for hooking
Um,
us up. We really appreciate that. Look at you shaking your head. Verbois is back here. He says that you were great to referee for. So I didn't know Mark was a ref for you there. I didn't know that, Coach.
he ref when I was coaching my own kids with Biddy ball.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was a good ref.
No, Mark, he and I went to high school together. We used to casually play basketball together in the Key Club tournaments and stuff. And he's a great guy. He does a ton for our community.
Oh, yeah.
And I could see him calling it fair as best he can. Mark's he's a heck of a guy. He's
a giving guy.
He's given a ton of his time. You mentioned, it's a school funding earlier. He's volunteering on school board committees to try to figure out how to get us better funding. Just a wonderful fella. Lauren here tells you that Palmer and Rhett are watching their Grammy. So that's pretty cool. That's your Grammy is a big deal. I'm glad you guys are watching that. You probably already knew it. Yeah. Now Jill's talking about a pageant. I don't know.
I don't want to talk about.
Okay, female globetrotter. Is she just lobbing grenades at you? What's female globetrotter? Is this before we can tell?
Okay. She reminded me. Okay. When I was in high school, I was in the junior Miss pageant.
Okay.
Oh,
this is the good stuff, Coach. We got
it. Jill.
I'm not doing my job as the host.
I forgot about that. My mama made me this outfit. It was red, white, and blue, and it was all this satin stuff.
Right.
And we're at Ponchatoula Junior High, the auditorium there.
Yeah.
I had the Globetrotter music going, and I did this little basketball routine, and yeah. I won the talent award.
So, guys, if anybody has any film of this,
no,
you got to let us know here, okay? We'll put a prize together.
No, I did not win Poison Appearance or the other thing I had to do. The other dances, no, didn't win.
That's a neat story. Look, we've got Sarah DePhillips here. Says, "Hey, Coach, congrats on a great season." And Steve Hebert says that's the best story. Oh, Sarah's your cousin? What are you saying?
No, that's Dana's cousin.
Dana's cousin. Okay, gotcha.
And I taught her at when I was at La Ranger.
Okay. Neat. So tell us, getting back to your story, son. We talked through college. Okay, you had the opportunity to play there. I assume you studied education because that's what you went on to do, right? And you're in special education specifically, right?
Yes, special education.
Tell us a little bit about that. Where did you get your career started? Because you mentioned coaching at La Ranger, and we all know you ended up back home in Ponchatoula. But where did you go before then?
I started at La Ranger, and when I started at Southeastern, I was in computer science, and then I realized that wasn't me. And I asked my mom if she would mind if I changed, and she said, "Trish, we didn't understand why you didn't go into coaching before." And so I went into coaching, got happy, all that. And then so I went to La Ranger, and I taught world geography, civics, and free enterprise for 8 years. Okay. And I coached basketball there for 8 years. We the first year we won one game, and then the next year we made it to the playoffs. So that was
let me guess,
cool.
Was there a transfer involved or an 8th grader that came up that was really good? Because that's quite a turnaround. If that was that,
they were young.
Sounds like more than just great coaching to make that leap. Am I wrong?
No, they were young. The first year I went there, they were young, and so and that's when I was that coach that was like, you know.
Yeah. Well, because my dad, when he was a coach, he coached at Maurepas, the girls basketball team out there, and this would that's been in the 70s, but or maybe late 60s. But he had the opposite experience where he thought he was a great coach because they went to the state, finals or semis or something. But it was all because they had this one great player. And then he turned out his shortcomings as a coach the next year when she graduated. So I was curious. Right. You had a team that's gelling and growing together and kind of buying the system more.
Well, the next year, the second year I was there, 3 of the kids got scholarships to Southwest Mississippi.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
I bet.
And then,
so how long were you at La Ranger? 8 years? Was that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Where did you go after that?
I went to Springfield for 1 year.
Okay.
LaRondra was getting better and better, and
Hmm.
at that point, I kept having babies. So Lauren Lee was born there, and then I had Brittany, and
Uh-huh.
just driving out to LaRondra was a lot, and
Yeah.
I I just felt like becoming a mother, I wasn't able to put in that time needed for there, and I
Sure.
needed to be closer to home. And so I went to Springfield for 1 year, and I had another baby. And then, then after that, the job at Ponchatoula came open, and so
Okay.
I came to Ponchatoula, and then that's when I had Hunter, and so
Uh-huh.
I had 4 kids, and my oldest was 5 years old. So I got out of coaching at that point,
Okay.
and uh, and then once my I guess Lauren was 9, that's when I started at St. Joseph, and so I
Okay.
was at St. Joe for 12 years.
Oh, neat.
So,
Wow. So
yeah.
tell us about the St. Joe years, because that place is so special to me. My daddy went there. I went there. I've got nieces there now, or one niece still left, and my boys will hopefully be there soon. What was the St. Joe coaching experience like?
Oh, that was the best. I love teaching fundamentals. That's,
Hmm.
I love breaking that part down and getting them
Yeah.
fundamentally down. And so those days were really great.
Did you have
Dana
an
Wheat was
assistant coach there, or was Dana your niece? Was she one of your players?
Dana Wheat was my she was 8th grade that year, and then we had
Okay.
Kristen and all that. Of course, I had an assistant, Andy Wheat.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay. Big sis,
that
right?
was yes, it was a blast. I love that time being with my sister,
Uh-huh.
being able to share that, and
You guys
yeah, so
get along pretty well, or how'd that play out? Because my daddy and I coached together a little bit, and it could get tense sometimes. He knew what
it
he was
was
doing,
good.
and I didn't always get that. So it was wild.
Oh no, it was really good. It was really good
Yeah.
because she was a cheerleader in high school, and so she
Hmm.
knew I was the basketball coach.
Gotcha, gotcha. She knew her
I
role.
love, Andy, I had to say something about a cheerleader.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, but no, Andy knows her basketball. She
Yeah.
she comes to our games. She's one of our biggest fans, and she knows her basketball. She can coach the basketball too, and
Right.
she coached softball there at
Okay.
St. Joe.
Yeah, I remember her girls being really
So
good softball players. So
yeah,
yeah.
yes. So
Good.
no, Andy, I was joking about that.
Now, who was coaching the guys when you were at St. Joe? 12 years, you probably saw several
I
boys
did see
come
several.
through. A lot.
Harriman,
Okay, yeah, John Mike or his dad, maybe. Yeah,
his
okay.
dad,
Mike,
his
Mike,
dad.
yeah, John Mike was a heck of a player. He used to whip
Yes,
us in the city league all the time.
right. Yeah, he was
John Mike had
there,
skills.
and then Trey Earhart came
Okay,
in.
cool. So
So
I guess by the time Ben Perrin started coaching, you were probably
I
gone.
was gone.
Oh, because
Right.
reason I asked, Bill was the best player on our '91 championship team. He and Chad Richard, or rather, they were the
Oh yeah.
two good players. So that's neat. Well, so then you get to Ponchatoula High, and you have all the success we talked about earlier. Tell us about that. How'd you build it? Because we pull up the picture to today, which is all these championships and wins. But you got to build something when you come back, and it had been a while since you were here before.
Mm.
How do you build this winning culture and the program that you have now?
Again, I was blessed. When I stepped in, they had some really good players here, and
Mhm.
they worked hard. It was a good foundation of. I had mainly juniors. I had
Mhm.
2 seniors that year, and then one senior, Taylor Johnson. She tore her ACL, so she was out. And so that year I lost one play-in senior.
Oh
And
wow.
so the next year I had a really strong group coming in as seniors.
Mhm.
And back then too, we had KJ Lee. He's now assistant coach at Southeastern. He was also helping coach back then, and he
Okay.
did a great job with them. He had coached AAU a lot,
Uh
and he
huh.
had some. He did a great job with the kids too. So after that, once we won the state championship, it seemed like kids just wanted to come here.
Yeah. Then you were the draw. Well, let's talk about that. The experience of winning the state championship. The pinnacle of any career. Tell us about that year, that experience, and did you learn anything you didn't expect? I mean, what was it like when you finally did it and you won it all?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect at all because as a player, I never went to the top 28
Hmm.
or the Sweet 16. And so it was all new to me. And our semifinal game against Destrehan, that game was that was on fire. Kara Ursa played for Kim Mulkey. She was a junior that year, and that girl could go off, score 36, 40 points a night.
Right.
And we played them earlier in the year. They beat us by 25. And then in the semis, we shut her down. We face guarded her. And then we had another girl that would release every time they would shoot, because they had a girl that never would rebound. She just would get back. So she would go double block out Kara, and we just didn't let her get to the goal. And then she got frustrated, got in foul trouble.
Sure, yeah.
We love getting kids frustrated like that, you know.
I bet. So you went from losing to a team by 25 to beating them on the way to the title. Wow, that's a redemption arc. That's cool. That's like a movie. So you brought little Hoosiers down here to Ponchatoula, huh?
It was fun. It was fun. And then the 2 nights later we played Walker for the state championship.
That's so cool.
And it was weird because in the interview after the Destrehan game, in the interview they were asking me questions about Walker and what I was preparing for, and I didn't think. I mean, I wasn't planning for that. I was planning for one game at a time. That's how I still. And Kaylin.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Folks, we got a little audio. We're working on our audio. Are you there?
So, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. It sounds a little different, but we can still hear you fine.
Hello?
Oh.
I lost sound.
Okay. I can hear you, Coach. Let's see here. Folks, technical difficulties are going to happen. Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I can't hear you.
Okay. Let's see here. Folks, what we're going to do is hope that the coach can make it back. Coach, can you hear me now?
Sound went out.
Uh-oh. Well, folks, I'm sorry. Let's see here. I'm going to try to check in on this on my end to see whether the mic's up. Let's see. Uh-oh. I think maybe we had an earbud lose a battery or something, possibly. Coach,
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Folks, that was
I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. She's back. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you on my phone.
Okay, perfect. We're gonna go. We're close to being done, and I've kept the coach longer than I promised. But you were telling us about the championship experience, you know, and the interview after, you know, the Destrehan game, getting ready for Walker. Once you win the game against Walker and you're state champs, what's that feeling like? Did you sleep that night? What was you know, what's that whole winning experience like for folks who haven't experienced it?
Right, I didn't sleep at all that night. We got back to the hotel. Wait, this is the funny thing. We won that first night, and we didn't have a hotel room for.
Really?
We had gotten a room. We got hotel rooms for 2 nights, and I didn't realize that they didn't have hotel rooms available.
Oh, goodness.
And so we had to go back and stay at Jennings. We checked out. We won the first night. Then the next morning we had to check out. We went and practiced at Barb, and we're on the phone trying to find where we're going to stay. And
so the tournament's at Barb in Lake Charles, but you got to stay all the way back in Jennings. Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
and you still pulled it through. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Well,
but when we finally got back to the hotel that night, we went and ate at McDonald's. We celebrated because that was all that was open, and got to the hotel, and the parents had a cake made and all that stuff, and so it was fun. We had a big party in the lobby.
Yeah. Well, I'm so hopeful that you can repeat that experience this year. You certainly have a squad that's capable. You guys are undefeated. You got great coaching, great players. You know, it's going to take a lot of hard work and luck and God's blessing to get there. But, you know, it's so neat to see Ponchatoula back in the hunt, you know, with such a great chance at it. I'm going to go back to a few comments, Coach, and I know I've kept you longer than I promised, so we'll let you go here soon. But before we get into our last questions, I just want to show you the other people showing you love. Megan Orso says, congrats. She loves you. That's your niece. Melissa Doty Stanga says she loves you. Did she play for you, or is she related?
She was at Ponchatoula when when I first came to Ponchatoula. Then I got out of coaching. She was
Oh, so neat.
Oh, Renee Laurent.
Laurent, yeah. there's Lauren talking about your Aunt Andy, her Aunt Andy coaching. She saved her from you.
That's true.
And oh, look, there's Andy giving you back the love. Yeah, that's cool. You mentioned your niece Dana. There she is. She said those St. Joe years were the best. She learned so much about basketball and life. Jeannie Wright Cottrell. Oh, she's neat. She says precious. Sandra Hutchins. Oh, speaking of Brandon Perrin, his Aunt Sandra.
That's Aunt Sandy.
Man, boy, she's something. That's one of my favorite women in town.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, this is so neat. Another comment from
okay. Andy's telling me, okay, my dad was in the hospital. And well, in rehab. And because he had some health issues late in his life.
Right.
And so when the game ended and we did all our stuff, as soon as I walked out of the Burton Coliseum, one of my sisters gave me a phone and said, "It's Daddy." And I got on the phone. Yeah. And I just told him we won, and he was just like, "I'm so proud of you, baby. I'm so proud of you."
Gosh, how'd you keep yourself?
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet.
And then when we got back to town. That next day, I was on the phone with Bill Wheat, and he said, "Look, what do you want?" And I said, "Look, when we drive through town, if we could just have a couple people out there and we just wave to them as we come through town."
Sure.
And he said, "Okay." Next thing I know, they had put together a parade. They had float pick up the kids with at Winn-Dixie parking lot. And they had a fire truck and all this stuff. We had the cheerleaders on the fire truck, and they drove us through town. And we stopped by Hard Hide and went in front of Mr. CJ's place.
Yeah.
And we had a big old. It was fun, and it happened to be the antique days, trade days.
Antique trade days.
We're already in town.
Yeah.
And so they honored us there, which was amazing. And as soon as that was over, I got in the car with the trophy, and I went to Baton Rouge, and I went and showed my dad the trophy.
So cool. What a blessing for you guys to be able to share that moment. And speaking of great men in Ponchatoula, you mentioned Mr. CJ's Antique Shop, the trade day. He just passed away. CJ Scanduro was one of the finest people in town. I think he actually founded Antique Trade Days, and you mentioned the giver's heart earlier. In regards to Mark Verbois, CJ Scanduro had that. So I'm glad you mentioned him. We really should say, how thankful we are that he was part of Ponchatoula. Getting back to your comments here, because they're still flooding in. Here's another one. Well, she says she's so proud of you and your coaching career. Ronna, thank you so much for that comment. Christy Melanson Inglade says she loves you. Sandy says, now you're going to have to pronounce Sandy's name, or we're just going to have to skip it.
She taught me how to say that. That's Sandy Gaines. She used to teach at St. Joseph. Sandy Gaines. It's Vodakovic.
Okay. Thank you.
I think that's right.
You saved me. Allie Amerson says you're the best ever.
I love her.
Yeah, total awesome person there. That's a great old photo, too. Look at that beard. That's strong. That's a strong beard.
That's Mr. Levi.
And then Chris says,
thanks. Softball at Nichols. Allie does.
Okay. I think you had some tears coming here. Chris and Carrie commenting there for you. Melissa Bordelon says, great interview. Hey, Melissa, hope you're doing well. Sandy's laughing at us on the name. Sandy, thanks for being a good sport about it. Having had my last name mispronounced so many times, I know how it is. Well, Coach, as I mentioned, we owe it to you to close. We'd love to keep you here forever, but your time's so valuable. Before we do, I want to ask you a question. If you could go back in time, because you've had such great success, and we've gone through decades of playing, coaching, being a mother, all these things, what advice would you give to your young self if you could go back to, say, maybe when you graduated from Southeastern or before you had kids? Or same advice you'd give to any young parent, young aspiring coach, young aspiring leader. What advice would you give yourself if you could kind of go back with all the lessons you've learned since?
I guess mainly just appreciate what's in front of you right now, and do the best with what you have. because you're going to have down years, you're going to have good years, you're going to have bad days with your kids, you're going to have good days. And, you know, before we got on air, when your kids were there, that was just great to my heart. Because
thank you. My kids were acting up in here.
That's just great to my heart. Just appreciate the little things and what you have.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, no matter what you're dealt with at that time, just appreciate it. And a lot of times, those times that you're feeling like you just can't do it, those are your blessings when you do it. And you know, I need to listen to that a little more.
That's what we all do. That's wonderful advice. And we are so blessed to have you share an hour plus of your time with us tonight and all that you do for the community. I just want you to know, folks like me that you probably never see, because I'm busy chasing toddlers around town and not making it to ball games. And, you know, we appreciate what you're doing because, you know, whether we're in the stands rooting you guys on or not, we're inspired by the success that you've had, by the winning you're doing now, and really just by seeing the impact you're having on the community, helping young women flourish and become themselves the leaders and great people that they can. They need you in their life, and we're so blessed that you've spent all these years doing that. So, Coach, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for doing this. I watch your show. Thank you so much.
It's been fun. And to the rest of our viewers, we're going to close out here, but we thank you for tuning in with one of the very best interviews we've had yet with one of the very best women that Ponchatoula has to offer. She is a local girl turned into a wonderful, inspiring woman, and just makes Ponchatoula proud. And thank you all. We'll be back next week. Take care.